Okay, so we're starting section 2.3, which is one-step equations used with inequalities, one-step inequalities. And the first part's super easy. All you do is you solve it. If it's a positive number, you solve it as you would a normal equation. So let's do a couple of these. All right, so this is a positive number. I want to get n by itself. So what am I going to do? Multiply both sides by 7. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. N is going to be greater than or equal to negative 7. Okay, so you would solve all of these as you would a normal equation, inequality. Here's where the difference is this next one. And here's the key. I'm going to write it in some words for you to understand. If you multiply or divide by a negative number, so the action, if the multiplication or division is by a negative number, I heard someone say it, you change the sign. What I mean by change the sign, you want to flip it so it faces the other direction. Okay, so let's move to this one. So this is monitoring progress 5. Everyone write down monitoring progress 5. So, how do I solve this problem? Multiply both sides by negative 4. Perfect. So we're going to multiply by negative 4. Oh, I'm multiplying by a negative. Because I'm multiplying by a negative, instead of this being a less than sign, I'm going to flip it to be a greater than sign. And it's going to be negative 28. So let me point out some mistakes that I've seen kids do. Going back to this first one, monitoring progress 1. Some kids think that just because this is a negative answer, that you have to flip the sign. No. It's the action that you're doing. I multiply by a positive 7, so I don't flip the sign. I'm going to go back here to number 5. I multiplied by a negative number, so yes, you do flip the sign here. It just so happens it happens to also be a negative answer. So look at number 6. Again, how do I solve this one? Perfect. Multiply both sides by negative 5. Oh, it's a negative. Multiplying by a negative. So it's now going to be greater than or equal to positive 25. Okay, this one. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative. So when we have fractions like this, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. Good. So it's by negative 10. Good. Or 10 over 1. Same thing. Okay, I still multiplied by a negative, so that means I have to flip my sign. Okay, let's go down here. How do I solve this one? Divide both sides by negative 9. Perfect. Oh, it's a negative. So this is now going to be, m is now less than negative 7. Okay, let's try this. Let's see if I can hear from more people in class, please. How do we solve this? Divide both sides by negative 2. Oh, it's a negative. Okay, so we're going to flip our sign. So r is now less than or equal to 11. Perfect. Number 10. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 0.4. Negative 0.4. Y is now less than, because it's a negative, positive 30. Okay, we're going to move on to the word problems for section 2.3. This is monitoring progress 11, and it's on page 70 if you want to follow along. Can I have someone read it, please?
You have at most $3.65 to make copies. Each copy costs 25 cents. Write and solve an inequality that represents the numbers of copies you can make.
Perfect. Okay, you have total. How much do you have?
$3.65.
Okay, so that's your total. Can you spend more than that, or do you have to spend less than that? So this is how much you're spending. You have to spend less than that because that's the most that you have. Now here's what you have to write notes for. The word at most, this word at most, this is just practice, means that you can spend that amount. So you can also spend $3.65 or less. That's what at most means. So you have to have that inequality sign. The word at most means less than and equal to. This is one of the ones that's a common error. A lot of kids make that mistake. Okay, so how much is each copy? 25 cents. So the word each is very similar to the word per. And which which one do we have to use? Someone said it? Multiplication. So 0.25 x multiplication. Okay, so how do we solve it? Divide both sides. Good. Is that a negative? Is 0.25 cents a negative? No. So that means we do not flip the sign. Okay, how many how many copies can you make? 14.6. Okay, so this is interesting when it comes to word problems. You want to think about this. It means that you can make less than 14.6. Obviously, you're not going to make 0.6 copies. You can't make a 0.6 copies. So what's the most amount of copies you can make? 14. So if you write this as an answer, I'll take that. It's totally fine. If you want to step it up and show me you really understand the problem, it means that at most, and you can even write it in words, at most, you can make 14 copies. All right, let's move to number 12. Someone read 12, please.
The maximum speed limit for a school bus is 55 miles per hour. Write and solve an inequality that represents the numbers of hours it takes to travel 165 miles in a school bus.
Good. So, the maximum limit is 55 miles per hour. So can a school bus go over this? It should not, no. It can, but it should not. All right, so that means which inequality sign am I going to use if this is my speed over here? Good, less than or equal to, good. And what's the total number of miles it has to travel? 165. So if you think about this, I'm not going to multiply how many hours by 165. So I'm actually going to divide it. Okay, so this one's a little different because look where the variable is. It's on the bottom, right? So another way that you may be understanding it, let's multiply both sides by x. So 165 is less than or equal to 55x. And I love these driving ones just because I'm in the car a lot. So it makes me think about how long it's going to take me to get somewhere depending on how fast. So if I'm going 55 miles per hour, that's why you multiply this by the hours. It'll tell you how far you're going to go and depending how fast you are. So how do I solve this now? Divide both sides by 55. Very good. And it will take you how long? Okay, so 3 is less than or greater than x. So it will take you at least 3 hours. It may take you more than 3 hours, but it will take you at least 3 hours.